NYPD officer Nick Spitz has recently failed his detective exam but doesn't want to tell his wife Audrey. After dinner for their 15th wedding anniversary, Audrey confronts Nick about how they never went to Europe after marriage despite his promises. Nick is an extreme cheapskate who never does anything nice for Audrey. Nick panics, says he plans to surprise her, and the two head off to Europe. Audrey meets Charles Cavendish during the flight and the two converse. Charles's fiancée has recently left him and married his uncle. He's attending their yacht party and invites the Spitz to join them. When Nick finds out, he doesn't want to go, but Audrey convinces him the fancy yacht will be much nicer than their low-budget plans. On the yacht, they meet Charles's ex-fiancée Susie Nakamura, his cousin Toby Quince, the actress Grace Ballard, race car driver Juan Carlos Rivera, and Maharaja Vikram Govindan. Audrey is creeped out by Colonel Charles Olenga, Charles's uncle's old friend, and his bodyguard Sergei Radchenko. Charles's uncle Malcolm Quince arrives to thank everyone for celebrating his engagement. He notes they are all in his will and calls them all leeches who deserve nothing. He says he's drafted a new will leaving everything to Susie. Just before he signs the new will, the power goes out, a gunshot sounds, screams ring out, and when the lights return, Malcolm has been stabbed through the chest and is dead. Audrey identifies Nick as a detective, so everyone turns to him for guidance. He orders everyone back to their rooms until the yacht reaches land. Nick thinks it's Malcolm's son Toby, but Audrey says it's too obvious, and a gunshot rings out. They find Toby dead, gunshot wound to the head. The following day, Inspector Laurent Delacroix arrives and questions everyone. Every guest says the strangest thing about the evening was the random Americans there. Delacroix tells the Spitzes he suspects them of being the killers. Once the ship docks, the couple is determined to prove they aren't the killers and begins chatting with the guests looking for clues. One suspect is Juan Carlos, whose father died because of Malcolm. Nick centers on Charles, but Audrey, who likes Charles, thinks Nick is jealous of him. That night, they get a note inviting them to another room, where they find Sergei with a gun, who orders them to listen. He tells them that Quince stole the colonel's girlfriend years ago, and that they had a child who died in childbirth. He says that the colonel asked him how to kill Quince. When someone knocks on the door, the couple hides, and when they come out, Sergei has been murdered. They flee from the killer out a window, climbing across the hotel ledge and hiding in Grace's room, where they discover she is sleeping with Vikram. Nick and Audrey see Delacroix on TV calling them the prime suspects and saying they are wanted, and that Nick lied about being a detective. The two fight, and Audrey realizes he lied about planning the trip in advance. Furious, she leaves with Charles. When Audrey discovers Japanese allergy medicine in the car, she realizes Charles is meeting with Susie. She follows him and runs into Nick, and the two deduce that Charles and Susie did it together. Someone begins shooting at them, and they flee. They find Juan Carlos, who takes them to Susie. She holds them at gunpoint but is then shot with a poison dart by someone in a mask. Nick and Juan Carlos chase the assailant, but he gets away. Audrey and Nick head to Charles's mansion to confront him but find him poisoned. They panic but huddle up to figure it out. The remaining suspects and Delacroix meet them at the mansion, where they deduce that Grace is Malcolm's long-lost child who didn't die as they were told. She convinced Toby to kill Malcolm, then killed Toby. She tried to kill Nick and Audrey once they became suspicious and killed Charles because he loved Susie and not her. Grace denies everything, but Audrey finds one final clue that proves it's Grace, who pulls a gun and takes Audrey hostage. But Nick shoots Grace in the shoulder, and she's arrested. Afterward, Vikram points out Grace was with him when Sergei was shot. Nick and Audrey realize Juan Carlos is the other killer and has been faking his inability to speak English. He did it for revenge for his family. He takes Delacroix hostage at gunpoint and steals a police car. The Spitzes take a Ferrari and chase after, crashing Juan Carlos and rescuing the detective. Juan Carlos comes after them again and is hit by Nick and Audrey's original tour bus. Delacroix thanks them and tells Nick that he will reach out to help make Nick a detective, and he gives them a scenic train ride on the Orient Express, as a thank you.